It's the first Friday of the month, and this month the challenge is paint sticks. And Lisa and Sarah have asked me to be the guest host, so I'm so excited to bring you this video. So let's start off at Home Depot. $148 is how much each one of these packages cost in the paint stick display. And so I picked up a few of each. I didn't get any yardsticks, but we're going to be starting off with the medium size, which is the 12-inch paint stir sticks. This is the size I think of when I think of a paint stick. They're for, gallon size cans of paint or smaller. So I'm enlisting my husband's help. This is Kevin, and he's built this set of stairs for our above ground pool. And so he had his little clamps and he had his circular saw, and I asked him if he would help cut down a few paint sticks, so he easily did that. And I'm so excited. There they are. And it was a beautifully clean cut, but I did go ahead and take my Dollar Tree sand block and, just smooth out the edges. And then we're off to the Dollar Tree. My Dollar Trees have started stocking their fall, as I've seen many walkthroughs of other YouTubers that have started looking for their fall supplies. Now look down here. I've had the apples and the acorns before, but these mushrooms are two different styles, so watch out for that. And lots of different chunky signs. Now these are new. I don't remember these from last year, these big chunky pumpkin MDF signs. And so I grabbed several, but I'm going to use these two to make a pumpkin crate. And of course these are made out of MDF, so I don't like to put those, I don't like to submerge those in water. A lot of times I'll get tags and things off with water, but the heat gun does better on this press board. I don't want it to warp or damage, but it's really pretty sturdy. It's impressive. So I just get off all the little embellishments and sand it down just a little bit. And the paper was on there very well, so I didn't want to have any uneven edges, so I left the paper on. Now we're going to be decoupaging those beautiful graphics from the Graphics Fairy, which I've linked below, onto these pumpkins for the outside of our crates. I have one that is like just a fall scene, and one that would lend itself more to Halloween. And so I'm going to use this Snow White Waverly chalk paint from Walmart, and I'm going to do a whitewash on the paint sticks so I can still see that wood grain. I'm going to wipe it back, and I'll show you. You can still see the wood grain. And then I'm going to put 3 coats on the chunky pumpkins. All right. The one side's going to stay white, and then we're going to use this liquid patina by DIY Paint, the crystal clear chandelier, for our decoupage medium. Got my FIFO bottle there, first in, first out. Sometimes if I haven't used the FIFO in a while, I just kind of put my finger nail inside the little bottle and it comes squirting out. All right, so I'm just going to use my brayer, and this is just printed from my printer onto copy paper. And so this is good and sturdy. I probably didn't need to put 3 coats on it, but I was just, on a roll, and that's just what I do. So it covers beautifully, nice and smooth. And then now it's dry, and I'm just going to take my nail files, the emery boards I get from Amazon, and they have a nice gritty texture, and they take care of those, even this tough, thick paper. They're going to take care of it, no problem. Now, if any white paint did get onto the orange, I'm keeping that orange on there for our little touch of pumpkin orange. I just sanded it off, and that paint stayed on beautifully. It took off the white and left that orange. So I'm just top coating it with another layer of the liquid patina, and I'm going to cut some relief cuts there, sand off all that paper, put a coat of liquid patina, and we are ready for to form our crate. So now my whitewashed paint sticks are all ready to go. I'm going to use one there as kind of a brace, And then I'm going to use this technique of hot glue and wood glue for all my projects today. So everything that I'm going to be using today is going to be connected together with the Gorilla hot glue and the Gorilla wood glue. And that combination is mighty strong and does a good job. All right, so I'm just going to there's my base, 5 slats on the base, and then we're going to put 5 slats up each way. So I'm going to do it all of my slats to one pumpkin and get all 15 connected to this side, and then I'll put the other pumpkin on the whole thing. There we go. So when I do my little gluing here, you'll notice I'm painting on the wood glue in little patches. And then I put the hot glue in between the patches so I don't mix the glues. And I just push it really nice and firmly up onto that chunky pumpkin. So everything is, perpendicular. And it'll stand up nice and straight. A little more wood glue there. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and stack 4 more. So there's going to be 5 on each side and 5 on the bottom. Make sure to not forget to put your wood glue on the ends. The end, yep, there I go. The end that's going to touch the pumpkin. We don't want to leave glue off of that because we certainly want it to connect. Now here's the last slat for our crate. And you can see on the slats how the wood grain's coming through. But we have that nice, fresh, clean white on the back of the pumpkin. I like how that looks. Nice and clean. All right. Now, it wasn't perfect. We had a couple of things. It was close. So what I did is I put wood glue on the slats that were out a little bit, sticking out a little bit farther, and anything that was recessed got the hot glue. And for the most part, I had one little gap that I'm going to fix here, and I'll show you how I do that. But for the most part, it evened out really nicely. Okay, so there's the gap that I had with those 2 slats. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint in a little bit of the wood glue, and then I'm just taking a little bit of this air dry clay, and this is the Crayola from Walmart. I've got lots of different air dry clay that I've had a lot of luck with, and this one, this is a good one. And so if I get any of the clay on the wood or on the orange, I just sanded that off. And then it dries pretty quick, and it's got that glue in it as well. So I can go ahead and paint it. And then, of course, I want I wipe off the excess. But right up there to the edge, I want that nice, crisp, white line. And there it is. Simple. I debated on to put a leaf on it or not, to go and get a leaf or make a leaf out of burlap. But I thought, no, it's suggestive enough with the decoupage. There's the hayride for the Halloween party, the Halloween hayride with their jack-o'-lanterns on this side. And I thought with this shape and this decoupage paper and the orange color, that was enough. And I didn't need to put on any raffia or any bows or any leaves, because whatever I put into the crate, like these beautiful leaves from the Dollar Tree, and they have little pumpkins in them, that was enough. All right, so let's move on. The second DIY I'm going to use the large sticks. They come in packs of 3, and they're thicker than the 12-inch sticks. And I'm going to use this Roycycled paper. This is decoupage paper, 18-pound paper. And I'm going to use the whole paint stick, including that little, beveled or the little cut end where you're supposed to use your hand when you're stirring, I guess is why they did that. And I'm going to put away that one with the white print because it was rounded, and the one with the black print had that same shape as our paint sticks at the top there. So I thought that would complement this decoupage paper. So beautiful, grain sacks, mercy. So pretty. All right, so I just find the 11 sticks. I use 11 that I like, that match up and seem to go together. I kind of fix and fiddle with it. And then I'm going to use the same technique with, I'm not going to paint it on. These are thicker, so I can just squirt it on here, and you see the little gaps where I'm going to leave for the hot glue. And there we go. I'm going to push it on and rub it in. And if I get any hot glue kind of bubbles out, I'm going to scrape it off real quick while it's still not completely set. Because this Gorilla hot glue sticks, this stuff is, it's good. It's gonna keep your things nice and secure. And coupling that with the wood glue, we'll be good to go. So here we go. It's nice and sturdy, but we're going to sure it up even a little bit more with some of our smaller, the medium size, the 12-inch ones that we used on the wood crate. I didn't want to use the long ones, like the ones I cut outside, because they're so much thicker, and I didn't want to add all that weight. This is already a very significant, substantial sign once I get this put together. It has a little bit of weight, and so I didn't want to make it, you know, stand out away from the wall any farther than this thinner paint stick. And I didn't want to add all that extra weight. So I'm doing the same thing, a line of wood glue, a line of hot glue. And there we go. And so this one did need a little bit of sanding. It had some little spots. Some of the hot glue bubbled up, and so I'm just getting that off of there, making it nice and smooth for the paper. And then, of course, we want the tops to look nice because that's going to show. The paper is just ever so slightly smaller than this sign. Beautiful. And so it's going to leave about 1/4 of an inch all the way around, and we're going to cover that with, there we go, with Antique Wax by Waverly. And I'm going to be using these little silicone holders. That's what I'm keeping my Mod Podge in these days. And it's been working really well. I really enjoy it. So I'm just going to dab it on the outer edge. It's the only thing that's going to show. And, of course, best practice for decoupage is to glue it onto something light. So this, I'm not going to worry about painting this white. You see the paper over there. It's nice and dark. So I didn't feel like I needed to give it a white base. This light colored wood is going to be just fine. So here goes the Mod Podge. Now I'm going to use the iron-on method for this decoupage paper to make it, you know, perfectly smooth. It's a great technique. But for this heavier paper, not napkin, not tissue, the heavier paper, I put 2 coats. I let 1 coat dry, then I put another coat of that Mod Podge, let it completely dry, and then I'm using my parchment paper here to get a few of the little wrinkles out. There was a little crease right there at the end, and I didn't want that to become a problem. So I just pressed it out, and here comes the parchment again. I don't ever want my iron, I'm using a hot setting, no steam, and I don't want that to actually touch my decoupage paper. And I certainly don't want it to hit some random bit of Mod Podge because that's going to get on my iron. So the parchment paper saves my iron from all of that and saves the paper from getting any scorch marks on it. So you see, I kind of keep the iron moving. I might hold it, but no longer than like 5 seconds at a time until I move it again. Look at that. Beautiful results on that iron-on method. Love that. All right. Now, once that cools off, I put on just 1 even coat of the liquid patina. It doesn't need much. But I just want to seal it all in because I'm getting ready to make the paint sticks really shine with this 220 sandpaper. I'm going to sand the whole thing, bringing out the lines of the paint sticks. I want to see that shiplap style slatted look. And of course I want to get those edges too. So that last little coat of liquid patina is going to protect my edges enough that it shouldn't pull up. If it does, then I'll just stop and glue it back down. But see how I kind of rounded that edge, and then I'm just kind of softening all those edges and bringing out the lines of the wood grain and those little ovals there at the top. Okay, so let's seal this one up, but this I want to seal with Waverly Clear Wax, and that's going to give it the perfect matte finish that I'm looking for here. There will be no sheen after we clear wax. And that just kind of seals it all up. All we have left to do is to put a hanger on it. I am going to embellish this. Here I am putting the hanger on. I'm going to tie it in a knot. I wrapped it around a few times with this grass cloth string. And then I'm going to tie it in a knot, and then I'm going to trim it. Put a little bit of wood glue on the string, on the I also put a little bit dab of hot glue underneath, but this is on top of the dried hot glue. And then I'm going to put 2 big globs of hot glue on the slat so it doesn't get in between there onto my paper and those little cracks. I decided not to sand out those little ovals, those little teardrops. I wanted to see the impression of it, but not break it all the way through. I still wanted the paper to go across. Now, I found these just like a couple of weeks ago. They're from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree, and they must have just lost them back in the back and just had put them out because they were way after Shore Living went into the stores last spring. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put another one of those little paint stick pieces from when we sawed the paint sticks off outside, and I'm going to put it right up near where the paper stops, and then I'm going to just tie the those picks in the middle many times, round and round and round, and then I'm just tying them onto that top slat there, and it's just hanging there by gravity on that top slat, anchored on those little pieces of wood, so I can change out that embellishment on top. I love how that looks, so beautiful and rustic. Okay, let's head back to the fall decorations at Dollar Tree. I get so excited when fall comes around, and I love being a crafter where I get to jump the gun and do fall in August. So much fun. Now, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think that I've never seen these pumpkin footballs. I think that's new this year, but they had several, and they're kind of cute. Lots of little chunkies. Here's some more. I really like that acorn there. That went home with me. I'm very thankful for many, many things. But this sign right here with the recipe, the pumpkin pie, the apple cider, the apple pie, that is, okay. I'm really impressed with these signs. And so I got one of each, but I'm going to use this pumpkin pie. No, I'm not going to want to use that in September and October. I'm going to be using the small paint sticks on this DIY. So I'm going to make this two-sided so that I can flip it over for pumpkin pie in November, getting ready for Thanksgiving. I'm going to make this side into a beautiful plaque that I can just leave out. I can put florals on if I want to. But this is going to be kind of a all-purpose, all-season really, plaque. And then I'll have the pumpkin pie on the other side. I can flip it around. But look how sturdy this sign is. I'm pushing on it. I'm, putting my wood glue and hot glue, and I'm pushing down so that it's nice and flat. And it really held up. I was impressed. The Dollar Tree has some really nice, sturdier signs these days, and it really turns out nicely. Now that one I did, you saw me trim it down a little bit with my X-Acto knife. It needed just a hair trimmed off so it would lay nice and smooth and in between those little borders there. All right, so I want my paint sticks to look similar to those wood-like edges. And so I just take my antique wax. I've got it watered down with some water there. And we're just going to seal this up here. All right. And then rub off anything extra. And now I'm going to get out the amazing casting resin. This is the quick cast, the 10-minute kind. And I'm going to use some of my IOD molds. I'm using the Farmer's Market, the Olive Crest, and the Primitive molds there. And I get all my molds from Deborah down at the Cottle and Gun. That's a wonderful store down in St. Mary's, Georgia. Actually, we just went there a couple of weeks ago, and I picked up a few. I got my farmer's market one there. I can't wait to do that sheep. So I had to do the sheep on this one because I've been looking forward to it. I also got the olive crest while I was down there, and Deborah told me, she didn't tell me the date, but she said that the new IOD release was coming up, to be looking out for it. I said, I sure will. I'm excited about it. So I'm going to do those, look at that. Look at that quick cast. It's so fun. You just mix A and B equal parts together, and then it just starts changing. And it is so fun to work with. Look at that sheep. Oh, my goodness. Oh, and so I did some weed. I did some thistles, and so pretty. Here's a little flower. Now, that was the last one. That one got kind of gloopy. So I'm going to need to do some trimming on that flower. This little sheath of weed, I poured just a little bit too much. I need to practice pouring a little less than what fits in the crevices of these molds, because if you over pour, you get like a little mound, and then it makes it a little bit more difficult to. Hope's going to come and try to trim off my extra resin that got over poured there, but we're going to get it. Beautiful. I love those. Look how pretty. She almost got it. I just had one more chunk. Look here. Woo, there it goes. All right. So I'm just going to put those little wheat sheaths up on the little staples. Remember, this is the back of the sign. And there were some staples there for the hanger that I cut off. And so there we go. Love that. Now, before I reveal the end of that one, I'm going to go ahead and make, look at this sign. It's like a humongously long cutting board. And so I'm going to take off the embellishments on this side. I am going to go ahead and do the front. I'm not making this two-sided. The back will just be the plain MDF color, which is very nice. Looks nice and neat. So I sanded down everything, the glitter. There was some glitter there. And then I'm going to take these and go all the way down with wood glue and hot glue, a big blob of hot glue in the middle. And then I use my hot glue on the hottest setting so that when I push down right there, it squishes down just as flat as it'll go. And so I always put the hot glue right in the middle of the slat or the paint stick. And I used one of those as a guide. So it would be nice and straight and relatively flat. Now, this was at night, so I put a skillet and a book and a picture on it overnight so that while it dried, it wouldn't do any kind of funny business and do any bowing or anything, but not a problem. It was just right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and antique wax this as well, and I mixed up another bit of resin, and I'm getting some more prettiness from the olive crest and the primitive molds. And then I'm going to put my molds on the signs with wood glue and let that completely dry overnight. And I'm coming back in with a watered down snowy white chalk paint, about 1-to-1 ratio. And then I'm going to rub it back. And so this is a whitewash. On the plaque with the sheep, I'm going to do white wax. And I love the look of whitewash usually, but now these molds, because there was some overpour and I had some kind of bulging back sides on these molds, I needed the white wax. So this whitewash is going to look beautiful to start with, but as it settles in, I wasn't as satisfied with the white wash, which is what we're looking at here, as the white wax, which I'm going to show you on the sheep plaque with the pumpkin pie on the other side. So here comes the wax again. Yep, there we go. Because, actually I'm going to wax this one first. I wanted to do a 1 white wash and 1 white wax, but I'm already giving you a spoiler alert. I waxed the other one as well, just because you can get that wax right up under any imperfections in your castings. And so, I do my best, but I'm still practicing resin, honestly. It's really easy to deal with. I always use gloves. I really like this quick cast, the 10-minute casting resin, because it doesn't really have an odor at all. The clear cast that takes 24 hours, it does have an odor, and I had to put it out in the garage to kind of set up because it gets too rainy around here. We never know when a thunderstorm's going to happen and come and go. So I put it out there because that clear cast really smells. So this white wax it just erases any problems. You just push it right up into those castings. And so see how that looks a little smoother? It's pretty, but it just, when you see it in person up close, you really need the white wax. Okay, now these I got from Ollie's. You can get these folk art paper stencils at Michael's as well. But this particular pack, this farmhouse pack, I wanted a chicken or a hen. And so I'm going to be using the chalkboard paint that I've added a little bit of plaster of Paris to. I keep it in my pantry there. And it gives me just the right thickness for perfect stenciling. I love this stuff. It's not quite black. It's close, though. It's very close to being fully black paint. And so I'm just going to stipple. This is one of those stencil brushes from the Dollar Tree. I use these for my black. I have a really nice JRV stencil, but I don't like to use that stencil brush with black. I just use it with the lighter colors. All right, this vintage by design, this is a Mara's Stencils, and I got this from L&J Goods. I left Lynn's website address down in my description box. She has a wonderful YouTube channel and a wonderful website. And this stencil is one of Mara's newest stencils, and I went ahead and just took some painter's tape. I didn't want the whole stencil, just the top part, so I just used some painter's tape for that. Now, here's where I'm going to really let those paint sticks, which is our challenge for this First Friday Open playlist, Open Challenge. This is where I'm going to let them shine. I'm going to just sand the dickens out of these two little chickens, and so that those slats really show off. And they're going to have that beautiful vintage farmhousey look that is just so pretty, so pleasant to my eye anyway. And so I'm just taking those nail files and getting close to those, yep, there we go. Now you can see the white wax really looks better than the whitewash. So here I am coming back, and I'm also going to take, as I wipe this off with the paper towel, and kind of push it up under any imperfections in the castings. I'm going to run that white wax that's on my paper towel right over that hen, just to brighten her up a little bit. Yes. There you go. And seal in that paint. And this acts as our sealer. It looks so pretty. Oh, I just love how that looks. You're so pretty. Now, I did put a hanger on the back with the paint sticks, but I'm just going to let it lean there. It's so pretty. I'm going to read to you from Hebrews 10:24 and 25. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up on meeting together, but encouraging one another. Thank you so much for watching today. I just love how these plaques turned out. I could have these out all the time. This little hen and this little sheep with his pretty crown from the stencils. I also put the wax on top of that one as well to seal in that paint. I just love that white wax. And I put a hanger just inside the little slats there. And voila. For Thanksgiving, we can turn it right around to pumpkin pie. I love that. And that little crate, fantastic. Thank you again for watching. Please check out that playlist for this challenge. Thank Lisa from Our Gray House and Sarah from Jujube DIY for asking me to be the guest host. I'm honored to do it. This is so much fun. I love this challenge and like to participate every month as much as I can. Love how the paint sticks. You know, I haven't crafted with paint sticks in a while, so this challenge really was great for me to get back into them. They're wonderful, wonderful pieces of craft materials and wood and pretty things. Just love how those molds look. So much fun. And I'll be able to turn that crate around in October and we'll go on a hayride, but I'm going to leave it right here on these cute little kiddos in the pumpkin patch. Love it. I want to thank you so much for watching. This has been a fun challenge. Be sure to check out the playlist link below in my description box and check out all the other creators in this playlist. So from the blue house on the corner, I wish you cool breezes during these dog days of summer. God bless. And I'll see you next time. Bye.